Welcome to StartupHakk. My name is Spencer Thomason. I am the CEO and co-founder of CleanRouter, as well as many other products. Here are some lessons that I've learned building a successful business while challenging startup norms. My challenge is to push you to rethink startup success. Welcome to StartupHakk. Welcome to StartupHakk. Today we're going to talk about how your idea can become a reality. How do you take your idea and turn it into a business? Now, I was reading this book recently about a person who studied this concept, and there's a lot of misnomers around this. There's a lot of misunderstandings around this concept of people who have an idea, start on it, and within a week there's this company and this company is flourishing. That couldn't be anything further than the truth. And some of this is obviously, of course, fed by Hollywood, movies like The Social Network and other things where you see Mark Zuckerberg come up with this idea and he starts hacking in his dorm room, and suddenly before you know it, 1,000 people have signed up for his site. But the reality of the matter is that's not actually how it really works. So the way that most startups work is that a company has an idea, and this idea will then slowly grow and germinate. Especially now, where so many business startups come based off of other ideas. So for instance, AI or big data or a lot of these other things that are happening now, these are technologies that are built upon stacks of other existing technologies. And so this is an example of where ideas can germinate. So let me give you an example of where we started. Eric and I started with this conversation about the ability to filter a router. And originally we thought, let's build it in the modem. But then as you can even watch the conversation thread, it was in a chat, go on, you can see that I said, no, the way to do this is to build it into the router. But even that idea still took 6 months worth of nights and weekends, somewhere between 10 to 25 hours a week of hacking on the side while I worked a day job, had family, etc., and continued to hack on this idea to make it a reality. And even our idea was built on the back of a lot of other ideas. For instance, what made CleanRouter so good was the fact that we took like Barracuda level or enterprise level filtering, but dumbed it down enough to something that mom could do and put it into a price category and a residential package that you could use in the residential. So really, we were the first ones to take the content filtering idea and just bring it down to something that you could use in your home. So again, not new technology, but there was a ton of work in making this idea a reality. So this is one example. But then a lot of the other part of this too is that a lot of other ideas spawn off of other ideas. For instance, it was 10 years later before we started CleanPhone. Now we knew that we would eventually have a CleanPhone. That was an idea that always knew, but that idea took 10 years to germinate. And in fact, CleanPhone that's launched today that actually allows parents to control exactly what their kids are doing on their phone, such as setting time restrictions, allowing only certain times that they can use certain apps. This idea actually grew, and what we have released today was actually our third full take on this. It was our third full attempt at building this platform. We had two other platforms that we spent over $100,000 between these two platforms that we ended up scrapping and throwing away. And so you can see that even an idea, as you start to flush it out and to build it, can often take even multiple iterations before you get something out the door. And so one of the most important things to understand with this is that it doesn't just simply go from an idea to reality. The last point I'm going to talk on this is the fact that ideas are cheap. At the end of the day, having an idea, there's tons of good ideas. There's lots of good ideas that die in the gutter. But the perseverance to take this idea, to persist through it, to find customer fit, to build it out into a reality, to scale it to a product, these are the things that take a lot of time. So ultimately, ideas are cheap and they don't happen overnight. I like one of my favorite quotes from Steve Jobs is that I'm surprised by how many overnight successes took a heck of a long time. And it's interesting to understand that as you look at this, even if you look at Nike, it took them over 25 years to go public. Even Apple, the company had to almost die before it became the Apple that we know today. It took Steve Jobs himself to really bring Apple to the smashing success it is today, over 20 years and 2 iterations. He actually got ousted as CEO and had to come back. So if you look at the history of the good ideas, they take a really long time. And that's the part that I would encourage every entrepreneur out there, is to make sure that if you're that you take your idea and slog through it. Sometimes just burning an idea for 2 to 3 years can make it successful, just simply in the persistence. You will ultimately find a way. The mind will ultimately find a way to take this idea and to bring it to market. So my advice out there to you is keep persisting, keep digging, take these ideas, let them grow slowly over time, and continue to build them. Have a great day. Welcome to Startup Hack.